What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the podcast, Talk with Viewers, episode 197, the first of 2026 and the fourth year of the podcast. And on today's episode, we got the Core 4 Plus news, and we're going to discuss the Olympic hockey rosters for the teams. Plus, we got NFL playoffs to predict and discuss, and the U.S. men's national team World Cup kit may have been leaked, so we'll talk about that. But first, let's head into the NHL. Yes, this is year 4 of the podcast, episode 197. We're almost at the 200 mark. This year's going to be a lot different. I got a lot of new stuff I would like to discuss, try to implement new things into it. Still have our normal newscast at least once a week. At least I'm going to try to be better with that this year. Plus, we're going to do some more stuff. Got to get social media down more. Got to just do more of that kind of stuff, because when I do those things, a lot of stuff happens with the podcast. It goes up in ratings, so I got to keep going with that. Plus, we're going to have a lot more specific episodes to things like rebrands, specific topics, not just these episodes. But let's run it back with a classic, starting off with the NHL, starting off with some older news. This is the past about week and a half news since the new year has started. So starting off in Pittsburgh, Sidney Crosby passes Mario Lemieux for the most points in Pittsburgh Penguins history, 1,724 points in 1,387 games. Congrats to Crosby there. Colorado has the fewest regulation losses by a team through 40 games in an NHL season. They only have 2 as of right now. That might have changed by the time I wrote this in there, but still, 2 regulation losses in 40 games. Unreal. Definitely the best team in the league. Carolina, Seth Jarvis and Jacob Slavin both out week to week with upper body injuries. Unclear about Jacob Slavin's status for the Olympics, but they are still very positive that he will be healthy for that. Colorado's Gabriel Landeskog will be out some weeks with an upper body injury as well. His Olympic status is unclear as well. They think that one is most likely he could be missing the Olympics because of it. The New York Islanders' Matthew Barzal was fined $5,000 for slashing Mason Marchment last week. Calgary's extended Devin Cooley to 2 years, $1.35 million AAV, and Philadelphia extends Christian Dvorak 5 years, $5.15 million AAV. Carolina announced that they had made a trade with Utah. They picked up Juuso Valimaki in exchange for future considerations, which does not mean much. So Valimaki going over to Carolina, not a bad depth defenseman pickup for them. New York Rangers' Mika Zibanejad ties Chris Kreider for most power play goals in franchise history with 116. He did this in the Winter Classic against Carolina, or against Florida. They smoked Florida. I think it was 5-1 final in that game. He had a hat trick and 5 points. He's also the first player to record that many points and a hat trick in a Winter Classic game. So congrats to Zibanejad. A very impressive Winter Classic game for him. We head to the World Junior Championship, where Sweden wins gold. They beat Czechia 4-2 in the gold medal match. Czechia getting silver. Canada ended up going to the bronze medal against Finland. They won that one 6-3. Denmark lost to Germany in the relegation game 8-4, meaning that they will not participate in the next World Junior Championship. And the U.S. lost in the quarterfinals to Finland on home ice, 4-3 in overtime. Not a good performance by the U.S. That team did not look like the last couple of U.S. teams we've seen. And my overall thoughts about this tournament, as I mentioned about the U.S., they did not look like the same teams that we had in the past, where they did make those big runs to the medal matches. Same with Canada. Honestly, I did not think Canada was as dominant as they probably could have, especially against some of the lower level teams like Latvia and things like that. So I think those two teams need to figure it out for next year, because if they're going to go out with a performance like this again, it's not going to be acceptable for the fans of the World Junior Championships. Now, if we're looking at the other teams, though, Finland, Sweden, they looked really good in this tournament. I thought Sweden, after what they did to the U.S., was going to be the best team going into the playoffs, and they definitely proved it, winning gold in that one. So not surprised at all. Congrats to Sweden for winning that one. But with the margin of, I guess, competitiveness between the U.S., Canada, and the other teams like Sweden, Finland, even a team like Czechia, it's narrowing, which is making it a lot more exciting for these tournaments. So I'm curious to see what's going to happen next year, to see if we're going to see that kind of margin narrow, or it's going to go back to a wide span. We're going to see Canada and U.S. dominate again. All right, let's head to the Olympic roster. So core four, which I think of USA, Canada, Finland, Sweden, we have pretty much a full NHL roster. So we're going to go through the full roster, give you my quick thoughts. I will do a more in-depth episode at the very least of the Olympic rosters on what I think, at least for the core four. There's other teams in there that have announced their rosters, so everybody's roster, I believe, is full, besides I think Italy's the only one I have not seen. But we're only going to discuss the big names, the NHL guys, because those teams are not full of NHL players. But we'll start off with the core four. We'll start off with the United States. Forwards, Matt Boldy, Kyle Connor, Jack Eichel, Jake Gensel, Jack Hughes, Clayton Kelly, Dylan Larkin, Austin Matthews, JT Miller, Brock Nelson, Tage Thompson, Brady Tkachuk, Matthew Tkachuk, and Vincent Trocheck. Defense, we got Brock Faber, Noah Hannafin, Quinn Hughes, Seth Jones, Charlie McAvoy, Jake Sanderson, Jacob Slavin, Zach Werenski. Goalies, Connor Hellebuck, Jake Ottinger, Jeremy Swayman. Now, looking at this roster, I really like it. Not a lot has changed, to be honest, between that roster and the Four Nations roster. The addition to have Tage Thompson on this team, outstanding. I love it. Tage is a huge player, plays good both ways. I think he's going to be good. Clayton Keller, kind of surprising. I like him being added into this roster. The bad thing is I don't know if he's going to get playing time. A lot of people don't like JT Miller in here. I think his veteran leadership is going to be very good for this team. Really, honestly, nothing too crazy when it comes to defense core besides having Seth Jones in here. I think is going to be exciting, but Seth Jones is questionable because he did take a shot to around the collarbone section during that Winter Classic game. Hopefully that's not a serious injury. If so, he might be missing the Olympics, and we're going to have to see a new guy in there. We could see a guy like Adam Fox, who did not make this team, get into there instead of Seth Jones. Quinn Hughes is going to be a huge addition with him and Brock Faber on the defensive core. Going to be a great pairing there. Goaltenders did not change at all from Four Nations. I think it's the best goalie threesome that you could have. The only one I would say maybe consider getting in there, Joey Decord, what he's done the year and a half since the Four Nations. I think he deserves a spot, but these three, definitely very good. Swayman would be the only one I would take out for Joey. But I would start Jake Ottinger over Connor Hellebuck. We'll move on to Sweden. Their offense is Bratt, Carlson, Eriksson, Ek, Forsberg, Holmberg, Kempe, Landeskog, Lindholm, Nylander, Pettersson, Raquel, Raymond, Wenberg, Zibanejad. For the defense, it's Anderson, Broberg, Brodin, Dahlin, Ekman Larson, Forsling, Hedman, Carlson. Goaltenders are Gustafsson, Markstrom, and Wallstedt. Goaltenders, I don't think it get much better than that. Wallstedt definitely deserves a spot on this team, but I still would start Markstrom, and I would Gustafsson backing up Wallstrom. But again, tournaments like this, whoever's got the hot hand going into this break, I think is going to get the start. I still think Markstrom would get it, but who knows? Wallstedt's been killing it this year. Gustafsson's not been too bad either. So I could see either of those guys backing up Markstrom. I like the defense core. I love having Ekman Larson in this team. For the offense, though, Holmberg's a very interesting pick. I'm not too sure where he's going to fit in this lineup. I love Leo Carlson in here. I definitely think he deserves a spot. Hopefully he gets to play, though. Four Nations, he did not, so I'm hoping he does get the chance to play. And Alex Wenberg, I had him as my initial pick back over in February, March, April, when I made these episodes on predicting the Olympic roster. So full almost a year out. I had Wenberg on my team, and I'm very excited to see Wenberg in here too. So I like the addition of him. We'll move on to Finland. Therefore, it's Armia, Aho, Granlund, Holla, Hintz, Kakko, Kapanen, Kirjanta, Lenkinen, Lundell, Luosterainen, Rantanen, Teravainen, and Tolvin. For defense, we have Heiskanen, Yukiharo, Lehtinen, Lindell, Mata, Mantipalo, Mikkola, and Ristolainen. For goalies, we got Lankinen, Luukkonen, and Saros. Now, goalies did not change at all. I think that's fine. Saros should get the start. Defense, I think that's going to be their weak spot for Finland. I mean, they have NHL guys, but it's not going to be as good as the other teams that we've seen or we're going to see with Canada teams too. For the offense, it's fine. They play a very tactical game just like Sweden does, so I think these teams are going to play well. It's just not going to be the most exciting roster to look at when you look at the U.S., Canada, and even Sweden's roster, which I think is a little bit better than this one. Now heading into the last of the core four, we got Canada. They pick up Celebrini, Sorelli, Crosby, Hagel, Horvat, McKinnon, Marchant, Marner, McDavid, Point, Reinhart, Stone, Suzuki, and Wilson for the forwards. For the D, we got Doughty, Harley, Makar, Morrissey, Parenko, Sandheim, Theodore, Tace. For the goalies, Bennington, Kemper, and Thompson. Now looking at the goalies first, Bennington makes a lot of sense. He plays great under pressure for some reason, but when it comes to the regular season, he is not it. So I think he deserves a spot, though, oddly enough. Kemper, I do not think is better than Blackwood or Wedgwood this season. I'm surprised that neither Colorado goalie has made this team, especially with the fact that they have a couple of guys on this roster who are coming from that Colorado team with McKinnon, Makar, and Taze. I would think a goalie from Colorado should be making this team. So having Kemper in here is very surprising to me, especially because I don't think Kemper is going to play over these three or over these other two, unless he's got the hot hand and then maybe take Kemper as your starter. Because Logan Thompson, I think, is really good. I think he should have been on the Four Nations roster. So I like him there. So Kemper is the only one I really don't like. I would have put Blackwood instead of him. But regardless, that third goal is really not going to play there because of injuries at that point. The defense has not really changed at all, so nothing to discuss there. For the forwards, no Bedard, and they went with Celebrini. I agree with this. I think it's a hot take. I think a lot of people think Bedard should be here. I don't think Bedard's ready as much as Celebrini is. And I think you have to have one of the young guys in here for the future of this Canada roster at the Olympics. And I think a guy like Celebrini getting the reps, getting the leadership roles, or leadership mentoring, I guess, from the other guys, I think is going to be huge. I think Celebrini here is going to be awesome. Now, how much is he going to play? I don't know. He could be a healthy scratch in these games, or he could be a fourth line guy, gets maybe around 10 minutes of game time and proves that he should get more. We could see that there as well. But this roster looks very good. Definitely a pound for pound with the U.S. there. But they did more turnover from the Four Nations, and they did win that one. So we'll have to see what those additions and subtractions will do to this squad. All right, we'll move on to some other teams that have NHL talent, but not a full NHL team. We'll start off with Czechia. They got Faska, Hurdle, Camp, Kasha, actually. Andre Kasha playing overseas, but he is announced to this roster. You guys probably know him. Martin Nashis, Andre Palat, Dominic Kubalik, David Pasternak, Pavel Zaka, Radko Gudas, Filip Hronek, David Spanek, Lukas Dostal, Kamal Velimaki, and Dan Vladar. I think this roster looks pretty solid. It's going to be about a 50-50 split between them and overseas players. So Czechia, watch out. Pasternak, I think, definitely going to be helping out this team a lot. Head over to Denmark. You got Oliver Bjorkstrand, Nikolai Ehlers, Lars Ellis, Fredrik Andersen. Not good, in my opinion, not good. Germany, Leon Draisaitl, Lucas Reichel, Nico Sturm, Tim Stutzel, Mo Seider, and Philip Grubauer. Watch out for Germany. I think Germany might be a sneaky good team. They have a tough group. They have to play the U.S., but I think they could get themselves into the knockout stages. Leon Draisaitl is going to make a huge difference. Him with Stutzel, I think, is going to be a very fun matchup to watch against other teams. And Grubauer, killing it this season. I think he could save a couple games, at least goal differential, a lot with this team. So Germany, watch out for them. Latvia, we got Teddy Bluger, Zemis Gergesen, Elvis Merzlikins, and Arthur Shilovs. Really not that great talent offense and defensively wise, but Merzlikins and Shilovs should help out the team a lot, keeping those games a little bit closer than they probably should. Slovakia, we got Euro Slavkovsky, Jesus. Thomas Tatar, Eric Cernak, and Simone Nemec. Really not that exciting. Switzerland, a little bit better talent. Kevin Fiala, Nico Heischer, Timo Meyer, Nino Niederreiter, Roman Yossi, and Yogis Siegenthaler. So a little bit more NHL talent. The talent that they are bringing is actually pretty good talent, but will it be able to mesh well? We'll just have to wait and see. But again, I will make a full, longer episode discussing at least the core four, if not all the rosters of the Olympic teams coming between now and I'm going to say probably the next 2 weeks, so just be aware of that. All right, let's head into a new jersey program that might be coming in 2026-27. A Reddit user leaked out this information labeled HTR, which we still are not clear on what that stands for, but supposedly it could mean hometown remix, meaning that the whole league will be getting these uniforms, kind of like the reverse retro 1.0 and 2.0 that I have one of them behind me. Yep, there it is. Montreal. Really liked what they did there. They bring on a different color that they don't use. Really, honestly, a fun jersey concepts for a lot of teams. I have a good amount of them as well. For these ones, we have actually primary colors for every single team. Now I'll give you some of my thoughts, my feelings on some of the colors, which ones I'm excited for, which ones I do not want to see. So we'll start off Anaheim green, Boston brown, Buffalo navy, Calgary's red, Carolina gray, Chicago green, Columbus gray, Colorado white, Dallas white, Detroit red, Edmonton black, Florida's pink, LA purple, Minnesota black, Montreal navy, Nashville navy, New Jersey black, New York Islanders navy, New York Rangers black, Ottawa black, Philadelphia black, Pittsburgh navy, San Jose teal, St. Louis black, Seattle navy, Tampa Bay black, Toronto's beige, Utah blue, Vancouver navy, Vegas black, Washington blue, Winnipeg navy. Now those are all the colors that have been leaked. Now we have to take this with a grain of salt. Will it actually happen? Will these colors change? Will these uniforms change? Most likely yes. I bet you everybody has some sort of design right now. Will it stick by the time they are produced and given out to the teams? 100%. One of them is at least going to change. So these colors might be changing. Primary colors could be changing. Now, the ones I'm excited for, we'll talk about those ones first. Anaheim being green. We haven't seen a green or teal-based uniform since the 95-96 season when they had the Wild Wing breaking out of the ice. What I think is more likely is we're going to see the original jersey, original logo on the front, and instead of it being the eggplant or the purple, it's going to be teal, and whatever was teal on that uniform or the green is going to be purple on that uniform. So I think it's just going to be a reverse of that purple uniform from the original season. Again, still going to be great. That Wild Wing logo is great. A lot of fans like it now. They want to see in the original colors, so we're going to see a little bit of a remix there. I would definitely like to see that uniform. So that's going to be Anaheim's that's going to be my prediction on what Anaheim's going to bring out. For Chicago, a green uniform gives me a good St. Patrick's Day vibe. Chicago's big when it comes to St. Patrick's Day, so I don't know if they're going to go into a St. Patrick's Day kind of feel uniform, but going from red to green as a primary, kind of interesting. Again, we've seen before with the St. Patrick's Day uniforms that they used to make, so curious on what they're going to do to make that different than those uniforms. I will say I wish it was a light blue or white uniform because I would love to see a city flag represented in the Chicago colorway and branding. I think that'd be really cool. But green is the primary. Florida going pink. Now it really does make it seem like we're going to get a Miami Vice feel. A lot of teams around in Miami area go with the Miami Vice. We got Florida with even though it's not pink, it's red, kind of has that neon feel to it. Miami Heat do it all the time with their uniforms in the past. So Florida Panthers doing it. They're close enough to Miami that they can get away with it. So I think black with some pink and light blue accents, gonna be a really cool uniform. Now hopefully it's not the crest that we see now on the front. Hopefully it's the Leaping Panther on the front. I think that would be better than the crest and the shield logo. But again, I think just having a pink and black uniform for Florida is just going to be an A+ in my opinion. LA going to purple. I think purple's necessary for their brand. I love that they're going back to it. Give me some more purple from them. The Devils going with black. They really missed the mark on the jersey, and they used it for way too long. I hated that uniform. Did not like it at all. So I'm hoping this uniform, honestly, it's just a reverse of the red uniform that they wear now. Black base, red shoulders. I would be really happy with that. They don't have to do anything fancy. Just give me that. And I think a lot of people will like that. Pittsburgh going to a navy. Now I would expect this to be one of two jerseys. With it being a navy, I could see it being a inverse of the 2008 Winter Classic uniform with that circle logo. That was a light blue uniform with white and dark blue accents. I think we can see a dark blue uniform with white accents along with that light blue accent there with that circle logo in the middle. I could see that coming, but I could also see a remix, a kind of like modernized style of the original jersey, which was light blue, dark blue, and white. I could see that coming back with that original logo as well, which has a little bit of yellow. in my opinion, I actually would take out that yellow and put it as a dark blue or light blue. But if they just took that uniform and made it into a Fanatic style cut, I think a lot of fans would be very happy with that. So I'm really interested to see what Pittsburgh does with that. Last two, Utah blue. We're going to get a alternate uniform anyways from Utah at some point. It's going to probably be that light blue or darker blue accents with a lighter blue there, so I'm not surprised at all. It's kind of expected. Now, with it being a hometown remix, I would not be surprised to see the U with the Tusk logo on the front being a hometown of representing Utah with the U. I could see that being on the front of the uniform. I would not expect to see a new logo on this team jersey just because the rebrand just happened. I don't think they're going to introduce a new logo for a new jersey that's going to happen for one season. So I would say the U is probably going to go on the front, satisfy some fans with the alternate being blue. It's going to be a nice complement to the black uniform. And the last one, Winnipeg color being navy, doesn't really surprise me, but what does excite me is just another chance at an Atlanta Thrashers throwback style uniform. Being a hometown remix, the hometown of Winnipeg used to be Atlanta. Could we see a brand shift a little bit with this uniform, having maybe a Thrasher style cut with the interesting striping, maybe the texturized of the Thrashers with the branding of Winnipeg Jets on the front, maybe introduce some red, a little bit more red, a little bit more of the brown tones, the tan tones. Could we see that? I would love for that to happen. We haven't had that since their move from Atlanta. I think that would be an amazing addition to this. I think we need to see a Thrasher throwback at some point. The only ones to do it is that ECHL team, the Atlanta Gladiators, which is great. It looks awesome, but I think Winnipeg doing something like that would be awesome. If they didn't, I think they're probably going to do something that we've seen before, which in my opinion will be very boring and not as fun as a Thrasher throwback in this set. Now, teams that I'm not really excited about because of the color situation of the primaries, Calgary and Detroit going red. They already wear red as the primary homes. I don't want to see that again. Calgary probably should be black or maybe even gold. I think that'd be fun to see that as a remix. Detroit doesn't like changing it up, so them going to red, not surprising, but also very boring. We just saw a new red uniform with their Centennial this year. Their primaries are red. I want to see a different color from Detroit. Vancouver, Nashville, and the Islanders going with navy. Again, it's part of their brand. They don't really do too much outside of that. Vancouver could have gone with maybe a white skate logo in this because they've had the black one for so long. They could have gone with the white one there. Nashville, I'm okay with the navy over the gold, but we just saw a navy one recently with their remix. I don't know if we're going to see anything really different from their branding. And the Islanders are super boring when it comes to their uniforms. We got the fishermen in the navy, which was cool, but it really wasn't exactly what we wanted. I don't think the Islanders are going to do much different than their uniforms now. They're just going to change the blue to a darker blue, which they did in the Reverse Retro series, which was... And St. Louis is black. A lot of people are probably going to be happy about them changing out their colors, going out with a black uniform. I personally do not like St. Louis's branding. I don't think the two shades of blue with the yellow or gold with the white really looks all that great. And I'm glad they got rid of that one. But the light blue with the yellow and the white, I'm still not even a fan of that. So the black on this jersey honestly does not excite me unless they go at the two-tone where they go black as a primary and maybe even a yellow music note logo. I think would look really cool. That would probably be the only thing to get me excited about this. But if they go with a blue logo with the yellow accents and then a black primary, I think I could have made that in the video game create a player kind of thing. So I don't really want to see that. But that'll do it for the NHL. We'll move on to the MLB. All right, start off with some older news. Yes, it is old, but we haven't discussed it. Joe Kelly announcing his retirement from the league. Fan favorite here in LA. Went to Boston and did a lot of things there as well. But Joe Kelly announcing his retirement. Congrats on an amazing career. The Angels announced they bought out the contract of Anthony Rendon. That $38 million for this final year of his contract will be spread out between now and 3 to 5 years. This is a huge buyout. Finally, Anthony Rendon will not be talked about at all with the Angels. He's not talked about all that much, but every part of the start of the season, he has mentioned whether he will play, whether he won't, this and that. So glad he's off the books, or not so much off the books, off the roster. That's a roster space for somebody else. So Anthony Rendon, gone. Highly doubt he will ever be heard from again. Boston trade with St. Louis. They pick up Wilson Contreras and $8 million in exchange for Hunter Dobbins and 2 minor league pitchers. I think it's actually a good trade for both sides. St. Louis is not very good. Getting in some youth pitchers, I think, could help. And Wilson Contreras helping out with the first baseman there with Boston, I definitely think could be a good asset for both sides here. The A's announced they picked up Jeff McNeil from the Mets and also extended Tyler Soderstrom to 7 years, $86 million. Now, I think this is 2 big adds here. McNeil's going to help out with the middle infield, a little bit more consistent starts for the A's. Soderstrom, I really liked a lot last year, so I think this is a good contract signing, and it's going to age pretty damn well for the A's. Which we also have a little bit more A's news. They also filed for trademark names of the Las Vegas Athletics and the Vegas Athletics. Both were denied. Now, I do not know why that they were denied, and I do not know where the A's move forward from here. Do they rebrand their name? Do they not even go to Vegas at that point? Do they do something else? I still think they're going to Vegas. I mean, obviously everything is setting up for that, but we could see a new team name for the A's. Pittsburgh signed Ryan O'Hearn, 2 years, $29 million. This is the first multi-year contract that they signed for a free agent in a long time, so hopefully it works out for the Pirates. Baltimore signed Zach Eflin to 1 year. Angels signed Kirby Yates to 1 year. Giants signed Tyler Mahle to 1 year. Houston picks up the star Japanese pitcher Tatsuya Iyama. Doubt I said that correctly, but he will be signing with Houston, and he said he will not be pitching in the WBC for Japan, so watch out for that. White Sox did sign Japanese power hitter Munetaka Murakami, and he also announced that he will be playing for Japan in the WBC, so that's a big offseason for Murakami there. Philadelphia's Bryce Harper will play for the U.S. in the World Baseball Classic. Alejandro Kirk will play for Mexico. Harry Ford will be playing for Great Britain for the WBC. Milwaukee hires Daniel Vogelbach as hitting coach. Don Mattingly was hired by the Phillies as a bench coach. So just a couple news out of the MLB. All right, right to the NFL. Regular season is over. Playoffs are just around the corner this weekend. So we'll talk about my playoff bracket and what the playoffs look like. But we'll start off with some news about the coaching staffs of some of the bad teams here. Atlanta Fire's head coach Raheem Morris went 8-9 in both seasons, and he is gone. Indianapolis announced that they'll be staying with coach Shane Steichen and GM Chris Ballard for next season. Arizona Fire's Jonathan Gannon ended the season with 9 straight losses for the Cardinals. Not a good run for Gannon. Vegas fires Pete Carroll after 1 year of a 3-year contract. Curious to see where Vegas will go from here. Cleveland fires head coach Kevin Stefanski. Cincinnati says they'll be bringing back Zach Taylor and director of personnel Duke Tobin for next season. So I think it's one of the last years for Cincinnati. If they don't get it done there, Taylor's probably out. Washington announced that they would parting ways with offensive coordinator Cliff Kingsbury. He was making all the play calls too, and that offense was not very good this year. So curious to see who will be stepping in to that role. Now let's head to the playoffs. We'll start off with the AFC. The number 1 seed was Denver. The 2 seed, New England. They'll have to face number 7, the LA Chargers. Number 3 was Jacksonville. They have to face number 6, Buffalo. And number 4 was Pittsburgh after a huge win. A very nerve-wracking win for the Steelers over Baltimore. They'll have to face number 5 seed, Houston. Heading over to NFC, the 1st seed was Seattle. 2nd seed was Chicago. They'll have to face number 7, Green Bay. Number 3, Philadelphia will have to face number 6, San Francisco. And number 4, Carolina will have to face number 5, the Los Angeles Rams. Now, so let's head into my predicted bracket. We'll start off with the AFC side. I got New England over LA, Jacksonville over Buffalo, and Houston over Pittsburgh, setting up a Denver versus Houston, Jacksonville versus New England. And I got Denver over Houston. I think Denver's really good. And I think Jacksonville over New England. New England has had a very easy schedule. I think Jacksonville is hitting all cylinders pretty damn well right now. So I got Jacksonville with that upset there. And then I have Denver versus Jacksonville. I got the home team, Denver Broncos, going to the Super Bowl representing the AFC. Heading over to the NFC side, we got Chicago versus Green Bay. I got Chicago in that one. Philadelphia versus San Francisco. I'm going San Francisco Philadelphia's offense is inconsistent. San Francisco's offense is inconsistent. Anything can happen between these two, but I'm going to go for my favorite team. I'm going to go with the Niners, at least getting one win in these playoffs. And we got Carolina versus LA. I'm wearing the Rams today. Cooper Kupp made the playoffs with the Seattle Seahawks, but I'm going with the Rams in this one. I think the Rams get the job done against Carolina. So that means I got Seattle versus San Francisco, Chicago versus LA, and I'm taking the top seeds. I got Seattle over San Francisco. It just happened back in week 18, and it was not a close game. Seattle looked really good there. I got Seattle winning that one. Chicago versus LA. LA with Matthew Stafford could do a lot of special things. I would not be surprised to see him win this game, but I really like Chicago this year. They're my second team when it comes to picking a team. I think they have a great chance to make it to the Super Bowl. Give me Chicago over LA at home against Matthew Stafford. Then we got Chicago versus Seattle. I got Chicago winning this one. They're on the road against Seattle. It's going to be a tough matchup, but if the defense is clicking, Chicago is going to get that job done and move on to the NFC Championship game, win that one, and go on to the Super Bowl. So then I got Denver versus Chicago in Santa Clara. I got Chicago winning that one. Yes, it might be a little bit of a hometown bias there with my favorite team being San Francisco and Chicago, but I still think Chicago is so good. That defense is moving that ball back to the offense. I think Chicago gets it done. Denver has the same kind of defense, though. If their defense is moving the ball back to the offense's hands, it's going to be a very low-scoring game. It's going to be a very good game, though. But give me Chicago over Denver. Playoffs start this weekend, so make sure you guys check out local listings for those games. All right, we're headed to college football. No college-specific episode, just for the fact that I want to make one episode this week because of time constraints and be prepped for the Olympic roster episodes that I'm going to be working on from here on out. So we'll start off in the world of scheduling for college football. USC and Notre Dame failed to reach an agreement. A lot of you guys have probably already heard this. Sounds like it's because of USC and Lincoln Riley not being able to work out a deal. Sounds like he wants an easier schedule. Notre Dame says that they went out and ended up scheduling BYU for the next 2 years. This contract dispute will not be resolved until at least 2030. That will be when the historic series could potentially be back together. These two teams playing against each other every year is something to look forward to, regardless of if the teams are winless or undefeated. It's still super exciting with the history there. So USC really did drop the ball here on not making a deal with Notre Dame. North Carolina hires Bobby Petrino as offensive coordinator. I do not think that's going to work out, but I guess we'll see. Michigan hires longtime Utah head coach Kyle Whittingham. Crazy hire. Love the hire. I hate that I love the hire, being an Ohio State fan, but I mean, hats off. I mean, that's a huge pickup for them. So Whittingham to Michigan, pretty damn good odds to make a playoff run with Whittingham there. Northwestern hires Chip Kelly as offensive coordinator and picks up Neuheisel from USC, the interim offensive coordinator. He's going to be the quarterback coach working back under Chip Kelly. So I'm interested to see what the dynamic duo of that will do at Northwestern. Again, it's still Northwestern. It's not going to be much better. But this past season was actually not that bad. So I'm curious on what's going to happen moving forward with these guys. All right, now that in the transfer portal, we're not going to talk about who potentially could go where. We're going to who actually is going to go where. We'll start off with Cutter Bowley going from Kentucky to Arizona State. Lincoln Kiles, these are the quarterbacks actually. Ohio State to Louisville. Quarterback Colton Joseph, Old Dominion to Wisconsin. Quarterback Kenny Minchie goes from Notre Dame to Nebraska, then flips 24 hours later to Kentucky. So he'll be going to play over in Kentucky. Quarterback Rocco Beck will go from Iowa State to Penn State. Quarterback Drew Mestermaker going from North Texas to Oklahoma State. Running back Caleb Hawkins and wide receiver Michael Coleman also following their quarterback and coach North Texas to Oklahoma State. Wide receiver Nick Marsh going from Michigan State to Indiana. Center back Jay Crawford goes from Auburn to Ole Miss. Tight end Benjamin Brahmer goes from Iowa State to Penn State, follows his coach there. Quarterback Josh Hoover going from TCU to Indiana. Quarterback Brandon Sorsby from Cincinnati to Texas Tech. Running back Isaac Brown did enter the portal from Louisville, ended up not going anywhere else. He's going back to Louisville. Quarterback Jaden Craig going from Harvard to TCU. Sorsby gets a $5 million NIL contract. Terrible contract. I don't think Sorsby's worth that much, but he's a pretty damn good quarterback, though. Can he get rid of the woes that Cincinnati had at the end of the year and be more complete for a whole season with Texas Tech? Is a good chance. Texas Tech's schedule next year is very easy. Conference play has not been scheduled, but I'd figure Texas Tech has a very favorable schedule at the end of the year. Josh Hoover going to Indiana. Huge pickup for Indiana. Love the pickup for Indiana. TCU is losing a good quarterback, but they're gaining a very good FCS quarterback in Jaden Craig, who led Harvard in touchdowns with 52 and yards 6,000. He's still got one more year left on that contract. I think he's a good pickup for TCU. So that's some transfer portal stuff. There is going to be more transfer portal news between when I recorded this, when I release this, and when you hear this. So keep up to date with it. Everything coming from On3 and Pete Nakos. Those are the top guys when it comes to the transfer portal news. FCS championship game was last night. It was between Montana State and Illinois State. Illinois State coming into this one riding a hot streak. They beat the number 1 seed North Dakota State by a 23-point underdog. UC Davis was a 10.5-point underdog. They beat them. Then they beat Villanova at a 2.5-point underdog. So they're coming in not being favored, but winning big games. Montana State, one of the powerhouses in the FCS, haven't won a championship since in 41 years. This game ended up going to overtime. 35-34 win for the Bobcats of Montana State. They beat Illinois State. Really good run by Illinois State. Great performances. I watched a little bit of the games between them and North Dakota State and UC Davis. They look pretty damn good in those games. So really was hoping for them to pull off the upset and get the win, because that's an unbelievable run by Illinois State. But Montana State, great job. 41 years since your last championship. They get to hoist another trophy into their case there. Heading into the college football playoff semifinals, we got Miami versus Ole Miss at the Fiesta Bowl, Oregon versus Indiana at the Peach Bowl. Start off with the Fiesta Bowl. I got Ole Miss over Miami. Ole Miss, Trinidad Chambliss and Kawan Lacey, killer. The defense, a little shaky, but overall got the job done against Georgia. I think there's a great chance that Ole Miss gets past Miami. Miami's offense is not that great, in my opinion. I think their defense is going to have to keep them in those games, and I think Chambliss is the best quarterback that they faced all season long. So if that is the case, I think Ole Miss gets the job done. Miami hasn't won a national championship since 2001. Ole Miss, not since 1962. So either team going to the championship haven't won in over 23 years, or I guess 25 years. Good Lord, I can't believe that was 25 years ago. That's Miami hasn't won a national championship. Either one is going to be very happy making it at least that far. Heading over to the Peach Bowl, Oregon, Indiana. We saw this earlier in the year. Indiana beating Oregon in Eugene, which was a very impressive win at the time. I think Indiana gets the job done again. Neither team has won a national championship. So either way, both teams are getting to a spot that they haven't been at in a while or ever. I think Indiana is a very good team. They're very scary. The offensive line looks really good. Opens up a lot of holes for the running back. Plus, Fernando Mendoza really did not have a lull in his game at the Rose Bowl. I think Indiana gets the job done. So we have Ole Miss versus Indiana. If that is going to be the finals, we'll talk about it next week after those games finalize. All right, let's head to the cleanup now. Again, a little bit old news mixed in with some newer news. Brooks Koepka announced that he is stepping away from Live Golf. I don't know what this means for him. I don't know if he thinks he can go back to the PGA Tour. I don't really know what this means. I don't know if he even says maybe I'm going to be a YouTuber and I'm done with professional golf. I have no clue. That's just reporting the news though. Denver's Nikolai Jokic out 4 weeks with a left knee hyperextension. That was about a week ago, so he's about a little over halfway through those 4 weeks. LA Galaxy's Ricky Puig, out for the 2026 season after having to undergo another surgery on the same knee. He tore his ACL. So he will be out for 2 full seasons. So that's not good news for the Galaxy. La Liga manager of Real Sociedad, Pellegrino Matarazzo, he becomes the first American coach to coach in La Liga. So congrats to you, Pellegrino. I don't know what this means with Real Sociedad. I don't think they're all that great. Middle of the pack to bottom of the pack kind of team, I believe. But hopefully the American coach does well over in Spain. U.S. men's national team World Cup jersey was potentially leaked. I think before Christmas, I saw a leak, potential leak of the team uniform. It was a off-white jersey with some blue trim around the collar and the sleeves. I actually really liked it. It was simple. It was supposed to represent kind of an old school feel because of the 250th anniversary of the United States. But supposedly that is not going to happen, I guess, anymore. And now we're potentially getting a new uniform, which is going to be a replica of the 2012 uniform of the Where's Waldo white and red striping that we saw. I think it's a very iconic jersey. I don't mind the jersey. It's just really bold and out there. The only difference between the 2012 jersey and supposedly the new leaked 2026 World Cup jersey is the red stripes will not be straight across. It will be a wave, kind of resembling a flag. So if this is the jersey, I am all for it. But again, I saw a leak from a very similar Reddit post and place saying it was going to be the off-white uniform. Now I'm seeing nothing about that and seeing all about the Waldo style jersey. So take it with a grain of salt. I don't know which one to believe. If it's the Waldo jersey, I like that one more than the off-white jersey. But either way, both jerseys could just be all fakes and neither are true. And we're just going to get a brand new uniform in the next couple of months. So hopefully we find out what these uniforms are. Nike is the only team that has, or the only manufacturer that has not released World Cup uniforms. We're seeing a lot of information about teams like France getting a teal uniform, potentially Brazil having a red uniform, then a lot of fans not liking the idea and then erasing that. So who knows what's going to happen, but Nike is the only big manufacturer that has not released uniforms. So we got to keep an eye out on that. And the last bit of news, we got Formula One team Cadillac will be racing next year. Their racers will be Bottas and Perez. So that'll be interesting. A little bit older veteran guys in the seats there. Zhou will be their reserve driver. So Bottas and Zhou going over from Kick, sticking with the team and going over to Cadillac. Colton Herta will be the test driver for the team. He is American, so we're curious on if he will get a chance with another team. But that will be Cadillac's driver runners-up for the next season. All right, head to the games of the weekend. We'll start with the NHL. We got Anaheim versus Buffalo Saturday at 4 p.m. NFL, I got Bills versus Jags Sunday 10 a.m. on CBS. And for college football, it's not even the weekend, so it's Thursday, Friday games. Fiesta Bowl is on Thursday, 4:30 p.m. Peach Bowl, Friday, 4:30 p.m. Both games will be on ESPN. All right, guys, that will do for this episode. Thank you guys for listening. 197 episodes in the books, 3 years in the books, working on our 4th year of the podcast. Thank you guys for listening and watching if you guys have for the last 3+ years. So we appreciate you guys so much. A lot of fun stuff expected between now and the end of the year. A lot of new content, a lot of better content, hopefully. So hopefully you guys enjoy this very much. Make sure you guys hit the like, subscribe, the bell icon so you guys are notified when episodes like this drop. If you guys haven't already, make sure you guys check out the social medias because I'm going to try to do more on social media. So the links are all down in the description below. And again, thank you very much. Have an awesome rest of your week, and we'll see you guys later.